Now, in this segment and one more short segment at the bottom of the hour, we're joined by, and I appreciate him coming on short notice, Lou Rockwell of LouRockwell.com, probably the biggest libertarian website on the web out there, and great folks who also let us contribute their stuff to Infowars.com. And Lou was the guy that was there, first to help get Ron Paul into Congress, was his chief of staff, the founder of the Von Mises Institute, trying to bring sound, real economics, not Keynesian, globalist baloney garbage, which they know is baloney, folks. To cover up their crony takeover operation. He knows the real Ron Paul. And so I was getting thousands of emails, phone calls, comments, freakouts. I told you a month ago they were going to push this. I think the Washington Post it as a way to make it look like Ron Paul is establishment, and as a way to cause more infighting, and as a way to, will he take a VP? He's out of the race. And I think the campaign should come out strongly and say, we're not taking a VP. But then others will say, oh, well, then you're just leaving, the libertarian constitutionalist vote unspoken for. No, we're not sullying ourselves. So they put something in the Republican platform or something, which they use like toilet paper. Now, that's my gut view. If Ron Paul later decides to do something like that and explains it to me, whatever. But this is far from over. This is about them acting like it's over. Now, let me get really the omnibudsman of libertarian freedom thought, Lou Rockwell, on to give us his perspective. I haven't found out what he thinks yet. I'm going to find out right now. I've put my cards on the table. Lou, what do you say about what I've said, and what's your gut on this, and what's the inside baseball on this subject? Because I haven't been able to get Ron on the last month or so.
Well, Alex, remember, I'm not a spokesman for Ron or for the campaign, so I'm just giving you my own view. But I think it's all a trick. It's just another establishment trick to make it look like Ron Paul is a sellout like all the rest of them. Ron Paul has never sold out. Ron Paul will never sell out. And so this has two pieces. As you said, to bring down Ron Paul, to make him seem like he's just one of the regular criminal bunch. And the other is to make Ron Paul supporters like Romney. Well, if he's willing to consider Ron Paul as a VP, Romney must be a pretty good guy. Well, because Romney, exactly like Gingrich and Santorum, even though Romney's a more pleasant person, and I'm sure his wife is a nice person, his kids are nice, and all those kinds of questions. But really, he's, as you say, he's a globalist. He's a big government guy. He believes in corporatism and fascism and the partnership between big government and big business. He's a warmonger. He's an imperialist. He's a protectionist. He's a big government guy, big spender, bail out the banks. I mean, he's bad on virtually everything. I guess, he was against the bailout of GM. But my guess is if he were president, he would have done it, and he would have made a lot of money out of it, because that's the kind of guy he is. He makes a lot of money out of government projects of this sort. So, no, I think this is just another trick, and they would never let Ron Paul be vice president. Ron Paul has a chance, we all hope and pray, to push his way into office by the people putting him there. However, the idea that the regime would invite him into office is just science fiction.
Okay, go ahead and go back to me. I want cut to me. Now, Lou, I'm just speechless, hearing you break this down, because I totally concur with you. It's so obvious. I wanted to make sure that my instincts were right. How do we interpret then this latest activity? Is this another sign of desperation from the establishment trying to behave like, hey, we like Ron Paul too?
Well, it is, but it also is a sign of fear. Because even though, of course, every time, Ron made this point last night, every time there's a story about him, the first line is always, of course, he can't win. Well, of course, he can win. He is like the tortoise accumulating the delegates, especially if it's a brokered convention. He could have a very important role to play. They want to diminish him. They want to smear him, and this is smear number 185, and I'm sure there'll be others to come. It's just another trick. So they're not going to ask him to be vice president. It's just not going to happen. Now, if we go back to the original days of the American Republic and the way the Constitution was originally written, the president and the vice president were supposed to be antagonists because the vice president was the man who came in second in the presidential election. That's the way the founders wrote the Constitution originally. So if we think of that, it would be if Ron were to go in there and fight hammer and tongs from the vice presidents against everything the president was doing, that would be pretty great. But we only have to state that to realize there's no way in heck that they would allow Ron Paul to play that role.
Well, that's exactly what I said earlier, and it's not because you and I are reading from the same song sheet. It's because it's common sense. It's our American system. It's our constitutional republic. But yeah, they are putting this out there as a wedge. Now, Rand is a great guy, obviously. Chip off the old block. He's done what he said he would do in the Senate. We're proud of him. But he's being a little too gentlemanly, and it's okay for us to give him advice. They're not God, none of us are, and they like advice. But whenever he was asked, would you take a VP slot for one of the other Republicans, he said, well, it'd be a great honor to be considered. And I think by great honor to be considered for VP, well, it is an honor when you think about the American system. But I would say, no, I wouldn't from the other candidates. I can't compromise. I mean, that's a no-brainer. And then I think what gives some fuel to this concern, I think Ron Paul needs to say something about it, and soon. And I saw this a month ago, where Jesse Benton told the Dallas Morning News that any Republican should be looking at Rand Paul as a potential running mate because he's the smartest guy in the room and he has tremendous credibility with conservatives. So these are the type of quotes out there. We don't want to give our credibility to somebody like Mitt Romney, who we know is bought and paid for by the bad guys. This is going to destroy our credibility. And I guess it's a difference of thought processes, but I would imagine you would agree. I'm not attacking Benton. I've interviewed him. He's a nice guy, a smart guy, I'm sure. But this idea that we're going to co-opt them instead of them co-opting us, that's just not how this works. Their system's in the verge of coming down right now. This isn't when we want to merge with these people. I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, Romney, I guess, is a more gentlemanly guy than Santorum or Gingrich. That wouldn't be hard. I'm sure he's a more pleasant guy, but he's a monster. This is just because he looks good in a suit doesn't mean he's anything but one of the top creeps. Otherwise, he wouldn't be supported by the Republican establishment and by the establishment in general. So, no, we don't want anything to do with him except to oppose him as a candidate, oppose him if, God forbid, he becomes president.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I could care less about the star stuff of politics, Hollywood, all that, because I've been there, I've seen it, I've done it. And I don't get critical of some of the people that advise Ron Paul, because I know he runs the show at the end of the day, and he's got to have helpers. But, I mean, I look at people like you and others I've seen that have worked for Paul who are so 100% dead on laser beam. And then I see some of the other stuff coming out from these younger folks, and I think they should be sitting at your feet and Ron Paul's feet. Instead, every time I look, they're advising him. And I see Ron saying, I'm getting advice from my staff. You're getting advice? You're getting advice? Again, I'm not trying to get into inside baseball or infighting here, but I mean, why isn't Lew Rockwell in the campaign advising?
Well, I've had enough. I've had enough of that. I've done real politics by which I mean evil politics. I've worked for regular Republicans, really starting since I worked for Barry Goldwater when he ran for president. I had the great honor to work
you have a long history publishing true activism, so you're sick of it.
Well, I must say, even though, of course, I make an exception for Ron Paul because he is the exception with a capital E, I must say I don't like politics. I don't like the political system. I think it's corrupt. And Ron Paul's like the minister in the whorehouse. I mean, he stands apart from the rest of these guys. And nobody is going to advise him successfully to cut back on his views, to say something he doesn't believe. He's a straight arrow. He's the real deal. And we can trust him 100%.
Stay there. Let's come back and talk about some positive areas then. But absolutely, this is the end of the day statement. If it doesn't come out of Ron Paul's mouth, it isn't attributable to him. Period. He speaks for Ron Paul.
Hello, I'm Alex Jones. Myself, my family,
You didn't give no lip to Big John.
Yeah, look, we only got 4 or 5 minutes left with Lew Rockwell of LewRockwell.com. Invaluable analysis from a common sense, pro-liberty perspective. And this calling us kooks, extremists, dangerous, it's only helping us because the system is dangerous. They're kooky. They're out of touch with reality and common sense. Lew Rockwell, shifting gears into some other areas. I had you on a few weeks ago, and there was some evidence of fraud, and you said, look, they've lied to us about everything else. Why wouldn't they? But now Maine, they admit they didn't count these counties. Just so happens where Ron Paul was dominating. Same thing in Iowa. They're saying that's now up in the air. I mean, we've got some clear evidence of fraud here. Ron Paul has said he's looking into it now. What would you do? I know you don't speak for the campaign, but we know Ron listens to you. What would you do?
Well, I think exactly what Ron's going to do. He's going to look into it. He's going to make sure he's got the evidence, and then he's going to, if he feels it's appropriate, he's going to speak out. And he made a comment, in fact, at the debate last night, a funny comment about the votes in Maine. So, of course, it's clear that we only have to think of who goes into politics. It's the crookedest people we know, the demagogues, the liars, the thieves. So, of course, the elections are typically stolen, at least on the margin. Mayor Daley was not a unique figure in American life. So that's why you have to have ballot access, security, and to the extent you can. And it's wonderful, I would say, what happened in Maine and Nevada, where they were so openly taking it that I think it helps educate people to just watch out and to think that democracy as it's practiced in the United States, and as, of course, the United States proclaims around the world, they're going to force it on everybody else. This is not such a great system. The American Republic is a different story, but this mass democracy of this sort, the crooked democracy, is unpleasant and a real negative for our country.
I totally agree with you. I mean, we're not glad they're doing the bad things, but now that they're so out in the open, we are getting lemonade out of the lemons. I mean, look at how they're in the old paradigm where there wasn't new media to challenge them, stealing things in the open still, and I see what little bit of credibility they had bleeding out onto the floor. Are you seeing the same thing, Lou?
Sure, and it's subverting them. It's not, as you say, it's not a good idea that they're stealing stuff. However, given that they're stealing, how much better it is that it's in the open, and this is subverting them. Americans are waking up. This is showing people in the Ron Paul campaign, in fact, anybody who's been following American politics in this election, that the thing is crooked. So it's a good thing that people feel that way. It helps them understand that the entire government is crooked, that they always lie to us, whatever they're claiming about Iran, about Syria, about Social Security, of banks, to go down the list of 150 subjects, they are always lying. That's the one thing you can be sure of. They always lie. So it's up to us to find out the truth. Alex, you help people find out the truth. And this is a very important thing. We are reaching the American people, and they are no longer going to put up with this. So I think this is why they're so worried. It's why they're calling Ron Paul a Romney assistant and all that sort of thing, the latest smear.
Yeah, I agree with you. And having a Bilderberg guy set up a super PAC and implying that Ron Paul's a globalist when I can set up a super PAC, Jesse Jackson can set up a super PAC for anybody. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're just pulling out all the stops. Now, in closing, we got about 2.5 minutes left. I like to always ask this question because we don't do pre-interviews, as you know. What is foremost in 2.5-minute closing statement on your radar right now? What's really got you excited? What's got you angry?
Well, first of all, what's got me angry and got me worried is another war. Obviously, they're attempting to overthrow the last secular regime in the Arab world in Syria. It's going to lead to vast massacres, just as has happened in Libya. And it's going to put even worse people in charge. There are people worse than Saddam Hussein or Assad or the dictator of Libya, and they come into power. We call it democracy. Well, it's just more corruption, more death. Then, of course, the real enemy, at least at this stage of things, is Iran. They killed 1 million people in Iraq. I don't know how many they plan to kill in Iran, but this is not only, of course, a moral disaster, but it's an economic disaster. We're going to have $10 a gallon gas if they do it. A lot of people think that's great. They think it's great. The environmentalists think so, and so do the neocons. Force Americans to use less gasoline, drive less, live at a lower standard of living for foreign purposes. So this is obviously not a good thing. It's frightening. They're going to spend trillions of dollars more on this war, and again, they're going to build up a mountain of corpses. All the pro-life people like Romney and Santorum and Gingrich, they're happy to slit the throats of the little children in Iran, of course. So these people are not pro-life; they're pro-death. So what's got me excited is what Ron Paul is doing. The millions of young people he's reached, not only in this country but around the world, who are interested in the cause of liberty, Austrian economics. He's already won the election in this sense because of the young people.
He has. Great job, Lou Rockwell. Thank you so much, my friend. Thanks for coming on short notice, Lou Rockwell.